Tonight, all-American action hero Steven Seagal on Law & Order in the Trayvon Martin case.
If he really did follow this guy after dispatch said, do not follow him, and then started an altercation with him, I would arrest him in a heartbeat.
And standing his own ground. You still fight?
Yes, I do.
You still dangerous? Steven Seagal isn't just an action movie star. He's also been in law enforcement, working as a reserve deputy chief. He's with us tonight to talk Hollywood, life, keeping America great, Trayvon Martin, and other issues. But let's start. Let's talk about Trayvon Martin briefly, this case that's sort of gripped America at the moment. This young black teenager killed in the street, unarmed, under a law which at the moment has protected the guy that killed him. It's called Stand Your Ground. Now, you're a tough guy actor. Right. You've stood your ground toe-to-toe with the best of them. What do you think about this case?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have all the details. I've been a police officer for over 20 years, and I've investigated murders and all kinds of different crimes. Originally, I was told that this was a situation where this guy was a neighborhood watch person who saw somebody that he thought was sort of shady and suspicious. He called it in and dispatch told them, do not follow him, leave him alone. And then the guy continued to follow him, came up on his porch and started an altercation with him. Now I'm being told none of that is true. So if you can tell me what really happened, I can give you my opinion.
My feeling is that he should at least be arrested. The legal process has to at least start, doesn't it? If somebody's dead,
I mean,
lying there unarmed and dead.
You know what I can tell you? Any of the guys on my team, if they did that, they would be on suspension and possibly in jail.
This issue of stand your ground. Florida is one of the states that has, quite a few states have it. I think there's 20 now that have this. But Florida has the most pronounced version of this law, the most generalized. And they've seen an explosion in cases of people using it to get off, effectively killing people. What do you think about the right to defend yourself? Where are the parameters? You've been on the law enforcement side.
I think
you've been in tough movies. What do you think?
Everybody certainly has the right to defend themselves. That's not to say that they should defy common sense by avoiding or diffusing confrontation. And that's very, very important. In other words, if somebody comes up to me and calls me any name he wants to and talks about my mama, I'll say, I'm happy you feel that way, and I'll turn around and walk away. Conversely, if he starts swinging at me or pulling out a weapon, then stuff's going to change right away. And I think everybody really has to understand that. This law doesn't say that you should look for altercations. What it really should say is you should do anything and everything you can to be able to avoid confrontation. However, as a last resort, if you're really indeed in fear for your life, you have the right to defend your life. That's what that law is. That's the spirit of that law.
Let's talk movies.
I got tired of coming up with last-minute desperate solutions to impossible problems created by other people.
All of your ridiculous, pitiful antics aren't going to change a thing. You and I, we're puppets in the same sick play. We serve the same master. And he's a lunatic and he's ungrateful. There's nothing we can do about it.
It was Under Siege, a terrific action film that grossed $160 million worldwide. Made Steven Seagal an international superstar. You had this huge, huge hit. I think it's fair to say you haven't had one quite like that since. Do you care? I mean, once you've had a huge hit like that, is that enough for a movie star?
For me, if God blessed me with that one great hit, I'm satisfied. But I still got a lot in me, and I'd still like to get out there and tell a lot more stories cinematically. And if God willing, I'll get the chance to do that.
What do you think of your country right now? What do you make of what's happening to America?
I think one of the biggest problems that we have right now is border security. And I think that, it seems to me that there are certain administrations in Washington who are probably thinking that they may like to have open borders, and therefore a lot of what's going on in the borders, in my opinion, is under-publicized, to say it lightly.
Because you live in Arizona.
Right. And I think that there's well over 50,000 people that have been killed in the border wars in the recent past. That's more than Afghanistan and Iraq put together. I work for Joe Arpaio, who I think is a great sheriff and a great man, and I think that what's happening down there is not at all racial. It's not an immigration problem. It's really a matter of national security, and our borders need to be checked and monitored. I think that, there's...
Given that, who do you want to be president?
Well, I mean,
November.
To be honest with you, I am kind of on the fence now, because even the people that are opposing Obama are not necessarily, brilliant in my opinion. But right now, in my opinion, when you have cartel members coming in and recruiting children off of the playground, they're recruiting people who no longer have the tattoos, no longer have criminal records. They're people that are going to be undetectable to come and work for them, and you have them with their, they've been established all over the United States of America now. It's a huge problem. If I'd like to be able to bring a panel in here of some of the great experts on what's really happening on the border and let them tell you for your show, because it would amaze you.
It would be a fascinating show. Part of the problem with the whole debate is that anybody that argues in the way that you're arguing immediately gets labeled racist and so on.
It's nothing to do
It
with
becomes
that.
a different debate, doesn't it?
In Maricopa County, if somebody commits a crime, like we get these high-risk warrants for murder, for rape, for armed robbery, whatever it is, and we go after those people. When we arrest somebody in Maricopa County, we don't care if they're Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Mexican, French, Italian. If you commit a crime, we arrest you.
Your new project, coincidentally, is called True Justice. It starts on March the 30th on the Reels channel. Right. Tell me quickly about that.
Well, I wanted to set up a situation where I could do kind of a show that would be based on things that I've seen in my career as a police officer and my friends, and derive a lot of the stories that I thought were important, and create a police show that was realistic and a little bit different than the average stuff that's going on.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, what great ambition do you have left? What's the one thing, if I had the power to give it to you, you'd take it?
I've been in Abu Dhabi for the last few months working with them. Very, very honorable people, the people that I've been working with. And they're talking about building a huge multimedia fund to make movies and televisions and different things, and television shows and different things like that. I want to be able to work on a project that will give people around the world the chance to represent their own people, their own culture, their own stories, rather than just Hollywood really, dominating Hollywood. And that's a dream of mine.
Do you still fight?
Yes, I do.
You still dangerous?
Let me tell you this, the guys that I'm training in UFC, some of them have gotten their championship belts, world championship belts, because they've attributed that to me and me teaching them, so I still know a thing or two.
I've always imagined if you're Steven Seagal, every single bar you ever go into in the world, there'll be some jackass in the corner who wants to come and try it on with you. Does that actually happen?
Once or twice.
and what happens to them?
Bad things.
For that reason, Steven Seagal, I am wrapping up this interview and wishing you all the very best for your day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to meet you.